Folks, it's finally happening. This is what we've been waiting for a year now. Oh, I'm so excited. I was not expecting this today. I really wasn't. Because, on Apple event invite day, on the Tuesdays leading up to when we're expecting an Apple event, I usually wake up and I'm like, I gauge my feeling. I have like a gut instinct where I'm like, this doesn't feel right. That's what I felt last Tuesday. I was like, not today. Today I woke up and I was like, I don't know, it doesn't feel right. But here we are. We got Apple event invites. And you know what? It's on a Monday. What the heck is up with that? Yeah, Monday, October 18th is an Apple event. And this is the big one. This is the one that we've all been waiting for. Let's jump in. Let's talk about what we're expecting. I'm so excited. I'm so excited because this is the big daddy. This is the event of the year. So far, we've had 3 Apple events in 2021. First off, in April, we had the iMac and iPad Pro event. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I thought that was a pretty good event. The new M1 iMac is a fantastic device, but understandably, people were maybe not underwhelmed because it wasn't different than what we expected, but we kind of wanted there to be new hardware. Because internally, the M1 iMac is the same as all the other M1 devices, but it's in a new form factor. And that was really interesting because when the M1 devices came out, they were the opposite, right? Internally, they were completely new, but the designs were the same. And that was very popular, but people were saying, oh, I want a new design. Well, guess what, folks? Now you're going to get your cake and eat it too, because we're expecting a brand new generation of MacBook Pro with a new design and new internals. And I could not be more excited. I mean, we've been waiting a long time for this. I've got my 16-inch MacBook Pro right here. Had this thing since day one. It's almost 2 years old now, and it hasn't been touched since in terms of updates. So this is the event that we've all been waiting for, and I think, well, we got to start by talking about what we already know, or think we know, about these new MacBooks. So the leaks so far on the 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pros have been pretty concrete and have been backed up by a number of sources. That is really important when you're talking about leaks, because anyone can come out with some information and it could be right or it could be wrong, or they could be right when they post it and wrong when the actual device comes out because plans change and that sort of thing. So one of the things to keep an eye out for is when you hear the same news being repeated from different sources. Yes, it might sound like, oh, well, we already know that, but getting additional people corroborating something means that there's more evidence from a wide variety of sources to saying that that's correct. So for example, the port situation, right? The HDMI port and the SD card slot. Those are things that have been talked about quite a bit that we're expecting to see on these new MacBook Pros. But every time I talk about it, people say, oh, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. Here's the deal, folks. I've seen some stuff. It's going to happen. Unless Apple pulls like an Apple Watch Series 7 and they throw the whole thing out at the last minute, which I don't think they're going to do, we're getting the return of HDMI, the return of the SD card slot, as well as the return of MagSafe. Now, we don't actually know if it's going to be called MagSafe, but I think it's a pretty safe bet because, I mean, Apple already adapted MagSafe from the MacBook to the iPhone, but that's not why you're all here. MagSafe is one thing. You're here for M1X. Now, we know a surprising amount about M1X, at least in terms of what we expect the processor to look like. An 8-core plus 2 efficiency core processor with either 16 or 32 GPU cores. I've talked about this in a number of videos over the past few months. This information came out back in April. Before April, we had kind of assumed, okay, well, what's the next step after M1? M1 is 4 performance, 4 efficiency. The logical next step is to go to 8 high performance and 4 efficiency, but Apple's actually reducing the efficiency cores to 2. Why are they doing that? Well, my hypothesis is twofold. Number one, by reducing the number of efficiency cores on the high performance chip, you can maybe do away with cores that you're not going to need to use all the time, and you can save size on the die because it can be physically smaller. The second reason is I think future Apple Silicon chips will be combinations of M1X. I think it's essentially going to be moving towards a chiplet design, so I'm definitely going to keep my eye out for that. But to me, it makes a lot of sense when you look at the other leaks that we've heard about future Apple Silicon chips, like a 40-core model with 32 performance cores and 8 efficiency cores. You're like, okay, if this is like in a Mac Pro, why would you need 8 efficiency cores? Well, you wouldn't need them, but you'd get them if you combined 4 M1X chips onto a single package. Now, here's a piece of news that just came out today, minutes after the event invites went out, that I think is really, really interesting. Apparently, the displays on these new 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pros, which we're already expecting to be mini LED, could also be ProMotion, 120 hertz. Folks, this has been right up there on my wish list since 2017 when ProMotion first came to the iPad Pro. This would be so nice. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for that. That would be so freaking awesome. This is something that we've all been wanting for years now. And apparently, it makes sense. It does make sense. The mini LED iPad Pro is 120 hertz. Why not the Max as well? This would be honestly such a great feature. I'm so excited. Now, as far as other things that we know about these new MacBook Pros, well, I was going to do a whole video on this, but since the event is coming out next week, I figure we might as well put it in here. I got all the configurations. I know what they're gonna be. So if you don't want to hear that, then I'll put a timestamp right here, and you can skip, and you can be surprised by the configurations. But basically, here's what we're looking at. This information that I've taken a peek at, and I guess I would call this a leak. I mean, it's not really a major leak because it's not, super revolutionary and crazy, but what I have seen is that there will be 2 options for RAM and a large amount of options for storage. Basically, as far as the RAM, you will be able to choose between 16 and 32 gigabytes. This corroborates another exclusive leak that I had back in July that was saying no 64 gigabyte RAM option on the 16-inch MacBook Pro, 16 or 32 gigabytes of RAM. And then the 16-inch will start with 512 gigabytes of storage. You can upgrade that to 1, 2, 4, or 8 terabytes. So that is big news. Right now, the M1 chip only goes up to 2 terabytes. If you so choose, you'll be able to upgrade your 16-inch MacBook Pro all the way up to 8 terabytes. And in case you were wondering, 32 gigabytes of RAM will be a paid upgrade on all models. So just like the current 16-inch MacBook Pro, which has 2 different versions, there's one at $23.99, one at $27.99, both of those will come with 16 gigabytes of RAM. You'll have to pay probably $200 to $400 to get 32. But one thing that we don't know from this information is how this is going to break down in terms of the GPU. So we know that there's going to be a 16 and a 32 core GPU option, or at least we're fairly sure because it's been reported by a number of sources. But what we don't know about that is whether it's going to be 16 cores in the 14-inch and 32 cores in the 16-inch, or if it's going to be 16 and 32 in either of them. If you go back and look at the M1 products like the MacBook Air and the iMac, those are listed with the different board variations internally as being SoC better or best. Better being the 7-core GPU, best being the 8-core GPU. But in the information that I was given, I didn't see enough that I could make that distinction. So, well, we are sure about the 16 and 32 gigabytes of RAM, as well as the 512 gigabyte, 1, 2, 4, or 8 terabytes of storage. What we don't know yet is the breakdown in terms of whether that's going to be the upgraded 32 core die, or if it's going to be the cut down 16, and then you'll have to pay extra for 32. As for the rest of what we can expect, we're looking at a new design. We've got a taller 14:9 aspect ratio. This likely means we're going to have even bezels across the sides and top of the device. That's a difference from how the MacBook Pro has looked in recent years, where the top bezel is always thicker. I expect that to go away. We're also expecting the touch bar to go away. It looks like this MacBook Pro is basically the, hey, sorry about the whole last 5 years of MacBook Pros, we're fixing everything. That's basically what we're looking at. The only thing that I really wish would happen, but is definitely not going to happen, is any sort of upgradability. Dang it, why can't we just have upgradable Apple Silicon? That would just be unbelievably good. And the other thing that I'm really excited and nervous for going into this event is that I'm gonna be able to fact check the 3 little tidbit leaks that I published on Apple Track a couple of months ago. To refresh your memory, these are the claims that I made. I'm not trying to hide from these. I'm trying to see if I was right, okay? Claim number 1, the SD card slot is going to be UHS 2, like what you would find in the 2020 iMac as well as the iMac Pro. Leak number 2, the Touch ID button is going to be backlit. We don't know exactly what functionality this will entail, but I have seen very strong evidence to suggest that the Touch ID button will have a dedicated backlighting LED. Claim number 3, there will be no 64GB RAM option on these MacBook Pros. That's one that goes against what other rumors have been saying, but I'm standing by it. We'll see if I'm right on any or all of these, and you know we'll be playing Apple Event Bingo during this event to see if I'm actually correct. I'm really, really nervous. Please don't hate me if I'm wrong. But while these new MacBook Pros are the big thing that you and I are probably most excited about, there are a couple of wild cards. For example, AirPods 3. This is something that has been rumored to be ready to release for a really long time. Another wild card is an M1X Mac Mini. John Prosser had the rumor with this new design for the Mac Mini that looks really, really nice. And I mean, it would make sense for Apple to release it here. It's supposedly going to feature the exact same M1X, probably replacing the Intel Mac Mini at $1099, which would be a really killer value. So I don't know, we're just gonna have to wait and see. But the information suggesting that it will be coming has been a lot more sparse than the information that we have about the MacBook Pros. So I would say 100% on the MacBook Pros. Maybe I'd give it a 50-50 on the Mac Mini. That's kind of where I am right now, but we'll see if anything changes in the 6 days before this event. Oh my God, 6 days. I can't believe it. 6 days until this Apple event. Guys, this is, I look like such a fanboy right now, but I don't even care, you know? I've been waiting a year for these MacBook Pros. I've been hankering to get my hands on some more powerful Apple Silicon processors. I cannot wait to see what Apple has in store. And that's the thing, even though we've got all of these rumors that are very credible, that paint a pretty compelling picture of what this MacBook Pro is gonna look like, I still can't wait to see it. Even if it validates what has already been known, I'm still gonna be excited about it. I just can't wait to see how powerful these things are gonna be. I mean, look at the cover art for this event. It's speed lines, it's like warp travel. It's called Unleashed. These things are gonna be crazy. I'm so excited. Are you guys excited? Let me know in the comments below. I gotta go like cool off or something, because I'm gonna be very nervous these next 6 days, just full of excitement. Anyway, let me know what you're most excited for in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.